Yeah, football means a lot to most people that watch as fans all over the country. And Pat, I believe, is sitting down with our Friday legend with you, Pat. Here we go, Coach Nick Saban.
Yeah, I think that's a great descriptor there. The Friday legend, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Friday Afternoon, Nick Saban.
Yeah, Coach!
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Coach, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. How's it feel to be here in Pittsburgh? Your thoughts on the city of Pittsburgh as a whole? You coach for the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns have had for a long time that rivalry. I don't know how much University of Pittsburgh history do you have, and what are your thoughts on us being here?
Well, I love being here because, about 125 miles down the road, down I-79 is where I grew up. So to come to Pittsburgh when I was a kid, whether it was to go to Kennywood Park, see the Steelers once a year, see the Pirates once a year, that was like it, man. That was it.
Kennywood.
So, and then of all things,
tell me more about Kennywood, please. No, go ahead.
I love it. What was it? The Pip or something?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
I still remember
the
that.
Rabbit. Yeah. All of them. The Jackrabbit.
Yeah, from when I was a kid. But
what year was that?
Ironically,
if you had to guess what year that was.
60s.
Yep, hasn't changed a bit since.
Okay, don't listen to him. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So then, ironically, everyone where I grew up is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan all my life. And then I go to the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. So when we play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, I got to get 100 tickets for Steelers fans. And then when I get in the bus to leave the game, they're all out there fighting the Browns fans.
Yeah, exactly.
None of them rooted for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Pittsburgh story and a staple there with the fighting in football. But it is a football town, like very much a football town. You can feel
question.
it. And I think tomorrow morning is going to be special. Tell me about this Pitt team, what you've learned from watching. We just talked to Narduzzi, and he said everybody that's on his team, he wants to love ball. He wants to be tough, obviously. Going to have a lot of greats back. What do you think about this current Pitt team? And can they knock off Notre Dame from the college football playoff? That's what's on the line tomorrow, basically.
Well, I think Pat Narduzzi's done an outstanding job here, no question. I think this is a tough job, and I think the job he's done this year with this team, this freshman quarterback, I mean, this guy is the real deal now. He's athletic, he can run, really good passer, and they're throwing it 63% of the time. So, to me, this is the type of team. When you have a passing team that can make explosive plays, and they're going to air it out all the time, they're the type of team that can upset a team that's better, because as long as they can protect well enough and the guys can make plays, they got a chance to score points. So that can always, when you're, I call it wad ball team, like you're running the ball, and you play somebody better, that's hard. This, not so hard, because you can take advantage of making big plays. Now, the question to me is going to be, how does Pitt's receivers match up against Notre Dame's secondary, because Notre Dame plays a lot of man-to-man. So if they can't be man-to-man, they'll have a tough time, even though they're going to throw the ball effectively.
So, yeah, Notre Dame has quite the advantage, I assume, in recruiting for DBs. They got NFL DBs all over the place. Not that Pitt doesn't have NFL guys, but I'm just saying Notre Dame has been built basically with 5 stars. So on the outside, whenever you talk about wide receiver DBs, that's a great athlete out there, normally. And you're talking about wad ball, whenever you play a better team, that's normally because the D-line, better athletes than what the offensive line is used to, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, now you're creating a matchup with, is our O-line good enough to block their D-line? Where it's a lot easier to get receivers and a quarterback that can make throws and just get in their way long enough until we can throw it.
And you think that's Narduzzi's plan tomorrow? And what do you think Notre Dame's plan is? Just a standard, let's play how we play, we run the ball all over this team and kind of dominate from beginning to end? You think that's what Freeman's saying?
Well, I think, they're scoring 39 points a game.
This place has great food all over the place.
Yeah, well, Sal was on our staff, Sal Sinceri.
Yes.
And I guess his family has a little deli or something here. And we used to bring the, sausage and all that stuff in. It was good.
Yeah. Sinceri's have one. There'll be a bubba da boba ba'ini right down the road, and then there'll be a supa da pupa da beanie around the corner. And then you get a Pepe there, and then you'll get a Dallasella, then you'll get a DiGiulio, then you'll get a Maraldo, then you'll get a Master Giacomo, then you'll get a Pronio, then you'll get an Impavito. These are just people I grew up with.
The Beppo.
Sounds to me like you're pretty expert.
I know a lot, yeah. And I took a 23andMe and found out I was 0.01% Italian. And That really changed a lot of things that I'd said. Nick, I'd like to let you know that was a big moment in my life. Don't you think, Nick? I think that was a big moment for the way I'd been operating. Don't you agree, Franklin Moraldo up there?
Absolutely, yeah. That changed a lot of things. You know, you had viewed a certain group of people a certain way, and then when you realized you were a part of that group, I think you became more enlightened.
No, that is. I don't think that is exactly right. I was like the only Irish guy. Okay, it was all Italians. I was the only Irish guy. So obviously, football town, shit-talking town, only Irish guy, all Italians. You could probably assume how that probably went, especially with me being involved. Then I found out I'm actually part Italian. It's like, wait a minute. So we got to go back and try to change some things. But we make great food. I mean, we make great food. And you talked about Kennywood. Oh, you need to go back there. They're opening up for you tonight if you want to go stop.
I hadn't been there for probably 50 years.
Go ahead tonight.
Everybody's
same.
still going.
Yeah, I'd love to go.
Shut up, AJ. I heard a little negative stuff out there. We don't need to talk about that. AJ actually has the last question for you on this particular game before we move on to the rest of the college football slate.
So, Coach, that field behind you gets a lot of play. It gets talked about a lot. We've seen some situations. The turf there is not always stable. Were you a coach that made your players? Like, did you ever talk about the field conditions going in? I know in the NFL coaches do this where sometimes they'll make their players wear screw-ins in certain situations. Was that something that you actually talked about or you cared to talk about with your team?
Yeah, what I talked about with my team was that it's a bad field, get some shoes that work. It was really simple. I wasn't going to try to pick the shoes for them, and then they come to me saying these hurt my feet. Get some shoes that work, but don't look at me when you slip and fall and you could run for a touchdown, because I'm going to just look at you and say, get some shoes that work.
Coach
it's
Saban,
a simple.
Coach Saban said this in the meeting. He said, I told the boys, as long as it's 53 yards wide, 100 yards long, we're going to play football. It doesn't matter what it is. And I followed up immediately. Coach Saban said that as a man that doesn't have to run a single yard on that particular on that turf. But it is real. If both teams have to play on it, let's not talk about it. What are we even talking about, basically?
That's right. But, every stadium that I played in, as soon as I walked in this room and looked at this field, I remember playing the Steelers here when I was a coach of the Dolphins. And, we worked so hard. They would corner cat. Dick LeBeau was the defensive coordinator. But most of the time when they corner cat, they played 3-deep zone. And we worked hard when they went to 2-trap because it was always throw it hot to the X. Dante Culpepper, they cat, hot to the X, 2-trap, pick 6. It's the first thing I remember. I mean, why can't I remember good things when I go to a stadium?
Yeah, is this what you remember? You remember them dancing into that end zone?
Dancing in the street, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. The grass does look good. Now, granted, with where we're sitting, we're not able to get as good of a shot, but the grass does look good. Now, granted, they do spray paint it, too. I mean, that is just as a matter of fact that they do. And I don't want to get on that.
It looks much better than I thought, honestly.
Yeah, it looks
good.
It looks good.
Impeccable.
But, the problem with the field is, people like to use zoysia grass on a field because that makes a really nice field, but then it doesn't grow when it's not warm enough. So you have to put ryegrass to complement it to make it green. Now, this is a problem, and I never wanted to do this, so I said, we got to get some grass that grows until football season is over, because when you put ryegrass on a field, the blades are really thick in the ryegrass, and it makes it very slick, especially if it's damp at all. And people are slipping and sliding because the cleats don't go in the ground because the grass is so thick.
Yeah, because so it's kind of like your cleat sticks on top of it as opposed to, so it's almost like you're on actually skids
That's
once
right.
the grass is thick. I know exactly what you're talking about as you were explaining it. I had no idea you had a green thumb. I'm a Kentucky bluegrass fan myself. That is my favorite style of grass.
Yeah, well, I just wanted something that, the players wouldn't, because, you get this happening in practice and you lose players and get hurt with twisted ankles and all this kind of stuff because you got bad footing. So I was a stickler on that big time.
What about Bermuda grass? That's pretty good grass as well.
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't grow when it gets cold either, so you got a problem.
Bermuda grass, soft-ass grass.
Super
like
grass.
SEC teams not being able to play in the cold.
That might be true, but they sure as hell can play in the Southeast.
Yes, they can. Speaking of the Southeast, Diggs has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, let's go down to Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama has a big one this weekend. But overall, I want to talk not only about this game, but over their overall picture. They are 120th, I believe, in running the football. Can you win a national championship or get to a national championship being a one-dimensional offense, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's hard. I really do. But if you've got a good enough quarterback and you've got good enough receivers, which that's the strength of their team to me, Ty Simpson and the receiver corps, and they make a lot of explosive plays. Now, they have struggled to run the ball. The offensive line is going to have to continue to improve because they have pretty decent backs, but they just have not been able to sustain and finish in the run game at all, which puts them behind the sticks a lot. But they make more explosive plays on run downs. That play right there that you're watching right now is a 1st and 10 play. So I'm like, throw the ball when they think you're going to run it and just keep making explosive plays that way. And if you want to run it better, run it when they think you're going to throw it, and maybe you'll do a better job and develop some confidence in your ability to run the ball.
Okay, so on that note, the SEC has a lot of games. Okay, there's a lot of games left with a lot on the line. Ty wants to ask you about a big one down in Athens, and it's crazy to think all the teams at the top of the SEC are going to have to play each other.
That's right.
And you're going to hear a lot of the SEC people say, "Isn't that convenient?" Okay, all the best teams have to play against the best teams. So now the number in that second column, the loss number, is going to have to go up for some of these good teams. Are they going to beat the hell out of each other? Ty has a question about Athens, Georgia, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, that Texas-Georgia game, Texas over the last 4 weeks, obviously they're 4-0, but a couple, tight overtime games, and then, the Vandy game last week being tighter than, maybe some people thought it would be. But Arch has looked unbelievable. And then on the flip side, Georgia kind of just, workman-like. They just continue to win and win. How do you see that game going? And do you think that most of the questions that people had about Texas, a couple weeks ago have maybe been answered because they're kind of, coming back pretty strong here? And I think a lot of people see them as, okay, this is maybe a little partially the team we expected to see coming into the season.
Well, I think Texas has improved for 2 reasons. I think in the last 2 games, Arch has played better. He's playing with a little more rhythm, not hurrying everything up, and he's been more effective and efficient, and his completion percentage is way up and all that. And the offensive line has played better. So those 2 things, I think, have made them show improvement as a team, but they still haven't been a dominant team. I mean, even the games that they won, they either had to come back and win in overtime, or, just barely beat Vanderbilt. And then they had terrible issues last week in the secondary where they gave up over 300 yards passing. So they still have issues on their team that I think they need to resolve. Now, they're going to play a really good team, and this week would be a great week to do it. But I'm telling you what, this Georgia team now, their offense, I mean, they can run it. Gunner makes plays. They got some decent receivers who can make plays. I mean, they're a good team. The only thing that is Georgia's issue is they don't have a significant pass rusher, and they don't create a lot of negative plays on defense, and they haven't been able to get off the field on 3rd down like they historically have been able. So that allows the other team to keep the ball. So those are things that they can improve on. So both teams have some flaws that they need to improve upon, and whoever can do it in this game best will have the best chance to win.
Now, on that note, Georgia very much in the running for a national championship right now. They pick up a loss to Texas. It'll be a huge conversation about them losing to Texas. Texas, at some point, I think they're going to play Texas A&M as well. They're going to pick it, but if they pick up 2 wins here with how the entire season has gone, all of a sudden Texas right back in the conversation. What's the conversation about Georgia? What's the conversation about Alabama as they've gotten through the hardest schedule that maybe the entire college football season has had? It's like, you guys down the South are certainly going to have a lot of reasons to be pissed about whatever happens at the end, and it is because of the scheduling. But we want these big games to happen, so it's kind of like an interesting dilemma right now in ball.
Yeah, I would like to have the good games. I think that's good for fans. I think it's good for football. I think players love playing in games, like this game here, or like, the Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas later on. But when it comes to getting in the playoffs, because of the way it's set up, it's not necessarily in your best interest to play a tough schedule right now. But when you got 7 teams in the top 15, which you don't want to admit the SEC's worth a damn, they got to play each other. They got to play each other. Mr. Big Ten over here. All right, so
and the 12, and the Big 12.
So they're going to play each other. So somebody's got to lose. So somebody's going to end up with 3 losses, and they're not going to be able to get in the playoffs, but yet they may be a better team than some of the teams who get in the playoffs.
It happened already last year. You know, last year was the first year of the 12-team playoff. And, you know, the BCS model where there was a bunch of different, then we pick which one's a national championship. And then the 4 teams was obviously a big expansion. Everybody was pissed about who's the 5th team. Now with the 12-team one, now everybody's pissed about who the 13th team is because, you know, the 5 highest ranked champions. Is Notre Dame going to get a spot? Well, everybody in football, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, definitely, everybody's pulling for Notre Dame to lose at some point. But Notre Dame still has a track to the college football playoffs for sure if they win these games. And that takes away a spot now from one of these teams you're talking about that has to play one of these schedules. And that kind of goes to Ohio State's conversation now.
A&M, Ohio State, and Indiana. Those 3 teams have kind of shown that they're a cut above the other teams. The other teams are good enough to beat them, but they all have a little flaw or something that they need to overcome. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out down the stretch here.
Okay, so in the NFL, they say, like the people in the know, after the season starts, everybody kind of understands that there's probably like 7 to 8 teams that could actually go win the Super Bowl. In college, it feels like there is tiers each year on who can actually win, and then everybody else that is in the good level. That's why people are saying if we go to 16-team playoff or if we go to whatever, like, does it matter? Because a lot of these teams are just going to get the doors blown off them whenever they play against the good team. How many teams are those normally? 3, 4 teams that are like built for it? And did you know your teams were national championship teams during the season, or did you think with some of your squads, like maybe we're not at the level that we need to be actual national championship? I don't know if that makes sense in the question.
Yeah, it does. And most of the time I didn't know because I think when you're coaching a team, you're always looking at what do we need to improve on. So you're not actually trying to compare that team to all the other teams. But I do remember one thought I had. You know, we won the national championship in 20. Waddle broke his leg at Tennessee on a kickoff return. Shouldn't even brought it out, but he did, and he got hurt. So, and I'm saying we had Smitty, we had Waddle, and we had a really good quarterback, you know, Mac. And I said, you know, this team's got a chance, but we got to do it because we have the good skill guys. And when Waddle got hurt, I said, in my mind, it went through my mind as soon as they told me he was hurt and he was out, we won't have a chance to win now, but we did.
Yeah, and Waddle played, right, if I recall, in the national championship? Was that?
Played a few plays. He could run in a straight line, but he had a hard time changing direction, and he wanted to play.
Oh, yeah.
And he caught a pass or two.
Yeah.
But, you know, Smitty had a phenomenal year and won the Heisman Trophy. And, you know, we had balance on the team. But that's the only team that I remember ever thinking that something happened that
It's going to be tough.
it's going to be tough. When Tua got hurt, had the same feeling. Because that was one of the best teams we ever had. Is the year Tua broke his hip. That was one of the best teams we ever had because we had 4 first-round draft pick receivers. And I liked them receivers, man. They scored fast, and they get on me about, you know, me thinking being a defensive guy, we're scoring too fast and protect the defense. I loved it. I loved it when we scored fast.
But the reason why they think that is because watching old school Alabama, you were winning, but it was just like so boring. You know, you were just handing the ball off. You guys were just running all over people, and then, all right, your defense is going to dominate the other side. And it was like it was 1970, 1980. We're just going to beat the hell out, and you guys did. And that was like we're a tough football team. We're going to pound the shit out of you. Quarterback never really got a lot of credit. It was always everybody else. So then when you make that change to become like an explosive offense and keep up basically with what football it became, everybody did assume that you hated it. They're like, oh, Saban's yearning for the days where we're all falling asleep in the third quarter as they're just pounding another team into oblivion. The people thought that about you, Coach.
No, they probably did. But I actually figured out when people were throwing RPOs and going no huddle fast and start scoring 40 points a game that we will not be able to win playing this style of football. We have to be able to utilize, you know, make people defend the whole field vertically and horizontally, have great skill guys, get a great quarterback, and score more points. And, you know, we won some championships by outscoring people rather than playing defense.
Yeah, I'd say you won some championships. The trophies are all over the house. There you go. I mean, they're literally falling out of the shelves. 7-time national champion. The national championship odds right now are sitting with Ohio State at plus 185 at the very top of this thing. Indiana plus 450. Texas A&M plus 750. To your point about the 3 teams above, they also have Alabama in that. If you were to look at the odds, not that much different from Texas A&M. Notre Dame at plus 1,000. Big one here at Pitt. There's going to be a lot of energy here in this building. footing. I think it's going to be a tough one for them. Georgia plus 1,300, Texas plus 3,500 down there at the bottom, obviously meeting. Oregon in the mix, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, and that rounds out the odds.
But, one thing about this whole thing, and, you say Ohio State hadn't played a tough schedule, but just taking Alabama, which I'm closest to because I live there, this has been a tremendous grind for this team. I mean, they've played like 4 or 5 games in a row against really top opponents. Now they're going to go play Oklahoma, who's a top opponent. LSU is no slouch, regardless of what you think from a player standpoint. So they've been through this gauntlet. So can they actually build on the momentum that they have, or are they going to get the poor me's, I call it, because sometimes your team gets the poor me's at this time of the season. Poor me, I'm tired. Poor me, I'm hurt. Poor me, this and that, all that. And if you get that, then you don't practice as well, you don't prepare as well, you don't play as well, and those things start showing up in your performance. And I'm just hoping this team can sustain their way through it and prove that they are where they should be.
I love you just looking at a guy saying, "Oh, poor me." Oh. I love that. That's where it all came. I call it the poor me's. The amount of time you've seen somebody pattern or think in a certain way, "Oh, poor," it just in your brain coming up with the poor me's. I wish I was there for that moment. Sounds amazing. But the fact that you have motivation for every single situation is why you're the GOAT of college football, and we're lucky that you chat with us every week. Let's talk about sports as a whole, and let's talk about the game that happened last night. The guy who's the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman is in his second year, Drake Maye. Boston Connor has a question for you about him.
Other sports. He does a foundation, Youth Inc., and it's just all about getting kids into all types of sports, and he kind of tagged it with a photo of you and Sark at Drake Maye's high school. I believe it's the Mustangs he represented in high school, and it's you watching him play basketball. But I just wanted to ask you about the importance and what you would do when recruiting players. Was there ever a time where you went to watch a Julio Jones or a Derrick Henry, and they were maybe hitting a baseball 600 feet or dunking a basketball from the free throw line, and you honestly had more respect for what they were as an athlete and a football player? Was there ever a time, too, where you damn near wanted to recruit a kid and get him to commit early so he didn't, go to the NBA or go to the MLB within a year? And what do you think about that when it comes to, recruits now who typically focus in one sport and then, in their offseason are playing that same sport or preparing for that sport's next season? Do you think that recruits all over should be playing at least 2 sports? And how much does it show you when you get to see a guy outside of football compete in a different field?
Yeah, well, first of all, Drake Maye was one of those guys that you're talking about in the first part of your question that really impressed me by the way he played basketball. He probably could have played basketball at North Carolina, too, and was going to out of high school. And one of the reasons that, he was committed to us for a long time. His family was all Carolina, which I knew would, eventually be an obstacle. But he wanted to play basketball as well. And and he probably could have, because I was very impressed watching him play basketball. I mean, this guy was a good player. And he obviously is everything that we thought he was going to be coming out of high school as an NFL player now, and also had a great college career. So he was one of those guys that impressed. I was never a guy. I liked it when players played multiple sports, because to me that says something about them as a competitor. That they love to play, they love to compete, they wanted to play whatever was in season, because that's how I grew up, that's how we all did it, back in the day. And I love to see guys do that. And I think other sports tells you a lot about a guy. Like baseball is basically boring. All right, but to me,
amen, bro. No. Baseball's good. Baseball's good. Sorry.
But I love guys that play baseball, because to me, even though it's a slow game, you have to have more athletic intuition to play the game than other games. I mean, you can run track and one track meet and have no athletic intuition. You're just fast. But in baseball, you got to make lots of choices and decisions about, is it a ball or a strike? Should I hit it? Should I not hit it? What pitch is he throwing from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand and gets to home plate? Nobody can teach you that. Ball judgment. How many DBs do you see that have terrible ball judgment? I used to like to recruit track guys to play corner, and after they'd give up big plays because they couldn't judge the ball, I started recruiting baseball players. I knew they could judge the ball. So, these are all things that I think you can learn about players when you watch them play other sports. And I loved it when guys played other sports, and I was never opposed to guys playing other sports because I didn't think it ever affected their development in terms of what they would do in the future.
Okay, so let's talk about that because I think there's a lot of gurus and specialists and experts that are telling a lot of these young guys and young athletes. I have a daughter, she's 2.5, she hasn't been in it yet. I think AJ would be able to maybe speak to this better than all of us. And in Ohio, I don't know how it goes and how AJ, he's a professional athlete and played every single sport. So I'd assume AJ agrees with us. But what is the sell, AJ? They're saying that you got to spend every single minute that you have working on your craft if you want to be able to become a professional. Is that basically the sell for these people to only do one sport year-round that you've experienced with your kids or that they pitch to other kids?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of experienced it all and talked to all different kinds of coaches. From what I've found, that bad coaches want kids to specialize in one sport. Like coaches that aren't great, they want to specialize. They just make it really tough. You have to be an absolute stud to play like 3 sports in high school now because basketball is going all year round, lacrosse is all year round. Football is the one that's like, hey, football is football season. Yeah, you have off-season stuff, but I just think they make it tough because there's so many things you have to miss if you do want to play other sports. But if you just got to be good enough, you got to be too good to where, hey, guess what? I'll be there once this basketball season's over. I'll show up at lacrosse, but I'm that good. You're going to have to play me. That's kind of how it is right now, I feel like.
And on that note, AJ, I think all these, even though you're missing out on some reps, it's like what you're gaining, your point about ball judgment, everything like that. These other sports make you better at your sport. So it's like, I don't get it. Now, granted, I had schools looking at me in 3 different sports coming out of high school. I don't know how many people have that. But on that note, it's like I grew up playing every sport. I didn't play video games as much because I had ADD. So I was playing sports. And everyone fed into the other, seemingly.
Right.
And I don't know how that kind of gets missed.
Yeah, but to AJ's point, it's more difficult for guys to play all sports. When I was in school, I played whatever was in season. I played, but football ran into basketball, especially if you got in the playoffs. But we might miss a few games, but then we'd come and play. Well, it's harder to do. But my point is the best player is the best player. I don't care how much you try to develop him and how much he specializes growing up and all that. Like Michael Dean Perry, he didn't like to practice. But when I was at the Cleveland Browns and we'd put him on the sled and it was, how fast can you hit the sled? His hands would be on the sled and all them other defensive linemen, their hands still be in the ground. So he was just that much quicker than everybody else. So did he have to specialize in his sport from the time he was 8 years old to do that? I don't think so.
You said it feels like people are trying to make decisions that have already been made for most people and how they were created. That's awesome. AJ.
Well, and kids get burnt out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many tennis players and people like that did you hear about that they start specializing when they're 8 years old and by the time they're 16 they want to quit?
So we have CFO Phil is a Pitt grad. He's all excited about this, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
He is super pumped about Pitt getting a little bit of love, a little celebration for the University of Pittsburgh. He's got Lil Phil, okay? Lil Phil, really good hockey player. Hockey, is one of those sports where it's a lot of commitment. They move out of their hometowns, and he's very good. But they have made a conscious decision, I think, at this stage of his life where, yeah, you're still playing baseball. We're still doing other sports because it's going to help hockey. But at some point, he's going to have to fully commit to hockey because of the amount of time that it kind of takes. It's interesting what sports have become. I think to you and AJ's point, like some of these sports, they got to commit full time. How about those Olympic sports? Like, let's just say figure skating, swimming. Like those things are like the amount of, it's like 4 a.m. you're in the pool and you need to be in the pool for 3 hours and then you're going to do school and then afterwards you're in the pool. It's like, how do you do anything? I don't know. I guess that's tough to balance, AJ.
So I have a question for you. So from a hockey standpoint, these guys get drafted when they're 17, 18 years old. But they can still go to college and play. They can go to some, league somewhere in Canada or wherever they're from and play. And then they turn pro when they're 21. You think that's ever happening in football?
It's already happened. They're pro whenever they get recruited. And then they transfer, and then they transfer, and they're already pro. So, yeah, I think it's already happening. Yeah, IMG.
Yeah, but the NFL team doesn't have to
19-year-old
draft
coach?
them out of high school. That's the difference.
Oh, you're saying having the rights out of high school.
Yes.
Develop somewhere. So, like, teams draft high schoolers and then send them to Ohio State to develop or something like
Right.
that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
And then the other question I have is now that they let guys come from the G League back to
College hoops.
college hoops, is the New York Giants going to be able to send their third-team quarterback to Penn State to develop at some point? These are my questions.
Definitely not Penn State.
These are my questions, he says.
Hey, you guys ask me questions. I'm asking.
That's a great question. I never thought about
I
that.
mean, it's happening with hockey right now. To your point, Gavin McKenna, I don't think he's been drafted yet, but he's been the #1 recruit prospect for the NHL for multiple years now, and kind of out of nowhere, he decided to go to Penn State this year instead.
Because they have money, because the amount of money that they're paying there.
The Penguins'
so
first
instead of
round
going to the
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to say the Penguins'
no,
first-round draft pick is at Michigan right now, and he's leading the college hockey in scoring right now. So they have his rights, and he's playing at Michigan, leading the NCAA.
So my brother-in-law did. My brother-in-law got drafted #3 overall in NHL, and he went and played at Michigan 2 years, and then went to the NHL.
Okay, is that just because the team he got drafted to? I guess we should ask Nick. Nicky Skates in the back there, Frank Paisano. What is it with hockey? They still keep your rights? They can send you to any school, or how's that kind of work?
No, and I mean, it's different. It's case-by-case circumstances. So, like in AJ's case there, I believe Jack Johnson was drafted to the Columbus Blue Jackets, or I'm sorry, Carolina Hurricanes. He may not have been ready to make the pro team.
He said that, yeah. He
at
said he
18
wasn't
years
ready.
old.
He admitted to me, I was not ready. I needed to go play in college, actually.
So they give him a couple years to develop, and he gets to, he has free reign of where he goes to school or if he goes to play junior or anything like that. But then he goes to
Did they
Michigan.
do this in baseball, Ty? Is this baseball too, or no? Are they designated for the minor? Sorry, go ahead. Is that a hockey? You still have hockey?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask. They still keep the rights for 2 or 3 years, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When they draft a guy out of high school. Yeah.
So on that note, baseball, Pat White, whenever he was with us, he
Yeah.
got drafted like 4 times because they wanted his rights, I think, just in case football didn't work. Ty, is baseball doing this with college too? Because I know, like, don't guys get drafted and then choose to go to college? Do their rights remain with the guys that they got drafted to, or
No,
how's
so,
that kinda
so
work,
it
do you know?
changes.
No.
So like we talked about this with Kyler Murray, like in that instance, like if he were to go back and play, like the A's still have his rights, but if you get drafted first round out of high school or first overall pick, a lot of times what will happen is they can't agree on a signing bonus or something, or the team sucks and they don't want to go there and just kind of wither away in the minors. Those guys will go to college, and then when they become draft eligible, their rights are open again, so they can be drafted by
in
anybody.
3 years.
Yep.
3 years.
Yeah.
Got it.
So you mentioned a guy there, Pat White.
Yeah.
Guess who he was committed to?
Yeah, I heard. You didn't want him to play quarterback.
Yeah. And again, what a dumbass.
I'll tell you what. I watched his ass take the snap and run all over every field, and I rode his coattails through some big moments. I mean, it was awesome, right?
He was fantastic.
He was cool, man. He was a great leader, too. Like, incredible leader. Like, that's the thing about him. His dad, fire chief, I think. So, like, his dad, obviously.
Mobile.
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama. The home of Mardi Gras. That's where Mardi Gras was actually created. Then it went down to New Orleans. I learned all this at the Senior Bowl whenever I was very intoxicated. Missed my flight the next day to the ESPN skills kicking contest. Missed it.
Why does none of that surprise me?
I should have been a little bit more locked in, especially with how I understand how it all works now at this point. Could you imagine? I go down to that ESPN kicking contest. I missed the first meeting because I missed the flight out of Mobile, Alabama. There's only like 2 flights a day out of that place. So obviously I'm stuck there. I missed the meeting, missed the rehearsal, missed the rules, missed the engagement, missed all the gifts, the swag. Everybody knows that I missed the flight, and I assume they know why I missed the flight. I show down there, win a contest or 2, and then I kind of get out of there wearing pink cleats, and I think everybody goes, you either like this guy or you hate this guy. Thank God Bill Polian said, we like this guy. And he got a little boozed up, Bill Polian said. Who cares? They won a Senior Bowl. Let's do that. But, boy, I could have certainly been making sandwiches here in Pittsburgh for the rest of my life, and it would have been at Rudy's Subs. And you might learn a little bit about Rudy's tomorrow, Tone Diggs. Watch your mouth and your tone whenever it comes up tomorrow on the internet, okay, Tone?
Rudy's is my favorite, best cheeseburger sub in the country.
Is that basically like a meatball sub?
Nope.
Coach, I'm sorry you got to deal with this. Okay,
I love
Get
these
his
guys, though. They're really good. They bring out the best in you, too.
Thanks, Coach.
For sure.
Coach, you like meatball subs? Coach, you like meatball subs?
You like meatball
Soggy
subs?
one?
You like
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
meatball subs or just
Yeah.
meatballs?
How about pepperoni rolls? You guys know what pepperoni rolls are?
Yeah, right.
Most of these guys don't even know what pepperoni rolls are. Miss Terry can make the bet. She's made them before for
Yeah,
us.
she brought
Coach
them
always
to
brings them.
Alabama. I think we had them in Alabama. Listen, a lot of Italians around. We know what pepperoni rolls are.
Oh, yeah,
They
we
need to
do.
understand that. Meatball subs, though, can't have it. How about mashed
love them.
potatoes? You like mashed potatoes?
Not my favorite.
Okay.
Meatballs.
50-50.
We like that. How about pizza? We eat pizza? You look
Oh,
very.
yeah, I
you
like
look-
pizza.
You're in very
Looks
good
great.
shape. What is your diet? Do you eat? Do you eat a
It's your
lot?
workout
What do you do?
No, I try to work out. I always save up for a good dinner, spaghetti, whatever.
Oh, so we're fasting almost during the day and then housing dinner?
Yeah.
Because you look good, I think. Do you feel
Thank
good?
you. I appreciate it.
I'm going to try to force
You know, when you're my age, you got to get ready for 90 now. So that's my theory.
Smart.
yeah.
Got to work out a little bit, stay in shape.
And that's why you're Nick Saban. And
So-
you know what I'm thinking about? I ain't going to make it to 40. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Saban.
Yay, Coach.